And welcome back, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with, of course, over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, make sure you make it a Fatty Beer. Let them know 2 goalies, 1 mic sent ya. Great vibes around the holidays. A lot of stuff going on. I personally was there last week heading into Thanksgiving. They had Tim Britt live. They had, great drink specials, great food specials. So make sure you get a Fatty Beer 24 Beers of Christmas Advent calendar while they're still out there. They usually go pretty fast. Again, at all 7 of their Western locations or in Rochester. And if you happen to be out there, Ohio. And always a shout out to our sponsors at Extreme Discount Mattress with Western New York's finest selection of mattresses and adjustable beds featuring cool gel memory foam, 2-sided mattresses, Telelay latex, organic mattress, Chatham & Wells, Scott Livin, and even the Skechers mattress, all for a third to one half of the supposed sale prices everywhere. So stop into any of their 7 locations across Western New York or check out their website, which is extrememattress.com. That is extreme with an X. If you're looking for even more savings, check out their closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue, Cheektowaga, with up to 80% off their already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kinds, closeouts, and floor samples. You can get a quality mattress for literally pennies on a dollar. Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And, of course, if you mention that you're a 2 goalies, 1 mic fan, you can get yourself a free mattress protector for any purchase of a mattress. So make sure you go check it out. Again, let them know that you're a fan. So we said welcome back to the show to start, but most importantly, Hurls, welcome back, Josh fucking Norris.
Yeah, he looked unbelievable. And it's hesitant to say, given the history, obviously, that everybody knows about with his injuries and obviously how his Sabres career has started. But even from that first play on the power play, I think the Jets' penalty kill was particularly weak, at least from what I saw. I only intently watched the second half of the game, but I would say that even watching the replays of that first goal, he had so much time and space, but he also created it himself by shifting a little bit. And even as I'm looking, it's like, just get it to the net. And that's exactly what he did. He got it to the net. Josh Doan makes a great play, and then Zucker comes in and cleans it up. That is the recipe for having a good power play. Having someone with the patience and the ability on that half wall. Obviously, Tage is on the other side. Dahlin's at the quarterback, and they have Zucker and Doan in front. But if they have those 2 wing guys and they're able to maneuver it a little bit to which side gets the puck, Josh Norris could take the Sabres power play to the next level, which has been one of the reasons, again, why this team has been struggling offensively. And that's just one reason. Obviously, he can finish. I think you saw it in the preseason with how good he was, but you saw it again on his first goal was a little bit lucky, went off a Jets defender, but he got to the front of the net. And then his second goal, obviously a great play by Dahlin and Benson to get the puck to him on a breakaway, but the ability to finish on a breakaway, having the skill and the wherewithal to know how high percentage of a move going far side and then tucking it back 5-hole, obviously against a backup goalie. But yeah, I mean, he looked as advertised to what everybody said he could be when that trade was made for Dylan Cousins.
Yeah, and couldn't have come at a better time, right? Him getting back in the lineup, just because like you're getting ready for this big 6-game road trip, and a lot of important points are going to be in the line. I mean, every point is important, but hopefully this is a road trip where these guys are getting healthier. Hopefully, I know Kesslering skated on his own today, or I'm not sure if he skated on his own or if he skated with the team, but he was skating today. And after him, who else is out?
Obviously Kulik.
Oh yes, Kulik.
But
I mean, I don't think we're gonna expect him to be back anytime soon, given the situation.
Yeah, probably at least until the new year.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if you were to get Kesselring and Kulik back, that would be that would be what they envisioned for the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and if listen, to your points, what Norris does for that power play, I mean, it's going to be a world's difference. And it's been a very stagnant power play with the exception of a handful of games all season. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to turn it around entirely, but I mean, his presence in and around that net, like you said, the play he made on his second goal, or I'm sorry, yeah, no, not his second goal. No, the Zucker goal.
You got me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
You
I
are coming. You
lost
are
my
coming in a little blurry. I'm not sure if people in the chat are seeing you as well better than I am, but um,
lost my Wi-Fi for a second, so I switched to my hotspot. But I'll try to get it back.
okay, yeah, no problem. Anyways, no, in his ability to like you said, have patience, work well below the dots. I mean, 2 of their first 3 goals were just getting the pucks to the net, getting below the blue paint and jamming away and getting the puck by Comrie, former Sabre, and then they chased him out of the net after the first period. But I agree with you, man. Just, the calmness he brings to that power play unit. And I was kind of surprised that and I know you were too, that they kept Tage on the wing and didn't put him at center, given the lack of depth down the middle. But it seemed to work tonight. We'll see if that continues on. We lost Hurls there for a second, so let me just go to solo here. Well, we'll see if that continues on because again, given their lack of depth down the middle, given their lack of depth down the middle, I would find it surprising that they would, as even as good as that line played tonight. I mean, I kind of find it hard to believe that Tage is going to be on the wing all season long.
Yeah, I think I'm good now, by the way. But I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Norris looked great, obviously, and if Tage is still able to get his chances and get his scoring opportunities while not taking as much of a load at center, because it's obviously you don't want to make Josh Norris more likely for injury, but you definitely don't want to make Tage more likely to get hurt, because I would argue that Tage is more important to this team than Josh Norris is. But yeah, as long as the line is producing and as long as Tage is producing for both his own personal interests on making the U.S. Olympic team, which I think is looking pretty good, especially after his hot streak, and also for the team. Obviously, he's your leading point scorer. He's your leading goal scorer. As long as Benson is able to facilitate and be the playmaker that he is and feed Josh Norris and Tage Thompson in a way that makes them both successful, I'm fine with Tage being on the wing. I think we just all know that the highest level of his game is at center.
I agree. Like, I also kind of found it funny that the first game he didn't score a goal at center when he moved there. Like, he moved him back to the wing immediately. He was just looking for the excuse. Yeah, again, the line looked good tonight, but again, we've seen. I just think this team is better off with the depth down the middle as Norris. I mean, maybe Norris is your first line center. You move Tage to your second line center, whatever. I don't care. But I think this team, for longevity wise, you're much better with those 3 as your top 3 center. Because I just don't think Ryan McLeod is a third line or a second line center, at least not yet in his career.
Yeah, I think it's close. Sorry, I'm fixing my light. I think he's close, and I think he's handling more minutes this year and bigger responsibilities relatively well.
I'm not trying to knock on Ryan McLeod.
I know. I mean, I'm just even looking at like the advanced numbers from tonight. Not a single Sabres player was outchanced tonight in terms of scoring opportunities. Even Jack Quinn, who had the lowest, he had 13 chances for while he was on the ice and 12 chances against. So that's just a good night all around from the team to have a positive. It's called Corsi 4 percentage. It's basically how the play is being controlled at any. It's not even a deep analytic. It's just basically the flow of the play and where chances are created. I mean, it continues to be this way, but Samuelsson and Dahlin were pretty dominant once again. I think they must have been as a pair because they had basically the exact same ice time, but they had 21 chances for while they were on the ice and 13 chances against. That's a 62% like positive percentage. And the team as a whole was obviously very good. I think a lot of people were saying, even compared to that Edmonton game, I mean, God, playing these formerly great Western Conference teams at home has been good to the Sabres this season. This is probably the most complete game, aside from the couple games I was at while I was home, the Blackhawks game at home, the 9-3 win, the Hurricanes game, which we never beat the Hurricanes, and they won 4-1 in a relatively dominant performance against a really good team. And then also that Oilers win. And it turns out, obviously, the Oilers aren't too great at the moment. But yeah, I would say it's one of the better wins of the year. Obviously, the Jets are on a long road trip themselves, and they're struggling a little bit without Hellebuck. Clearly, their goaltending is not as good as it usually is. But yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing the fruits of the labor of not only the scouting, but what they envisioned for the team this offseason. And if they are able to get Kesselring back soon, which I think they'll be able to, obviously that bumps Bryson out of the lineup, which I don't think they envisioned him playing significant minutes this season anyway. That's a pretty formidable group. And I mean, if Kulik were to come back, I imagine that would be Ostlund that went down. But yeah, it's basically what they envisioned for the roster this season. And at their best, I do think this team has wild card potential. That's a big if. Obviously, they need to stay consistent.
It's got to stay healthy.
Yeah, got to stay healthy. Got to stay consistent. They need goaltending like they got tonight. I thought UPL, as we've seen many times before, we saw it in the Blackhawks game and in the Hurricanes games while I was home. He has that
was a
high
low
level
event game. Hurls, stop.
No, what I'm saying
it was
though,
a pretty low event game.
No, but what I'm saying, like, give him some credit. He made some good saves.
I'm not saying don't let's not pretend like he's at 35 saves tonight.
What I'm saying though is that like he still played relatively well.
Like, he played well, yeah. I'm not gonna take it away from him, but
also there's no need to knock it either. You know what I mean?
I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it at all. I thought he made saves when saves need to be made, but let's not pretend that he went out there and had a 35 save game. Like, I think his game was. I think the result and the way he played was a direct result of how well they played as a 5-man unit in front of him.
So, I mean, 23 saves on 24 shots. And you're right. Like, in terms of high danger stuff, the team played well in front of him. There were 3 high danger shots against, and he had 2 saves. Obviously, the Kyle Connor tip directly in front of the net. I don't put that on him whatsoever. But he also made that save on like basically a breakaway in front of the net on Kyle Connor, which at least remind you of the goalie he was when he was at his best, right? And even in that Hurricanes game that I was at, and I was directly behind the net, you sense a level of confidence in him in these games that he plays well that makes you think that even if it's not with the Sabres, this guy could be a quality NHL goalie if he ever gets to that level.
Here's the thing. We've had this conversation already like 4 times this season where he plays a good game and then he has a stinker.
He's got to put them together.
Let's not have this let's table this conversation for after the road trip and see how things work out.
For sure. And I think that applies to the entire team though, right?
No, I agree. I agree. Like, but when your team, I think the issue is when your team doesn't play this well as a 5-man unit, we're playing okay, but not as well as tonight. Can you get the saves that you need from him on a consistent basis?
I would.
That is the question.
And he has not proven that on a consistent basis throughout his NHL career at this point, and that's a stone cold fact. I think nobody's disputing that. But after a hot start from both Alex Lyon and Colton Ellis, I think the group collectively has not been good enough recently. And I think they all would say that about themselves. And I think
that also a big part of that, and us as goalies can say this too, is you can't have your goalies going 2 weeks between starts.
For sure. And of course, like I had a friend talking to me about that earlier, and who knows whether Alex Lyon's hot start was related to being in a new place, them playing well in front of him, or I mean, we saw those games. He obviously had a lot of really really
consistently
good game.
playing though too. Like
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. He knew he was a starter going into the season, given the UPL situation. He was prepared. Whereas now you're in a 3 goalie rotation for some reason still. And here's the thing. Yeah, as a starter, you get the starters net in practice, but now your backups are splitting the net at the other side. You're not
Yeah,
taking as many shots, and that's not good for any goaltender. Like now imagine you're Alex Lyon and you're not starting. You're not expected to start. Well, guess what? Maybe you're starting on the second night of a back-to-back. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting tonight, but you're getting tomorrow night. And your practices you're taking half the pucks a backup takes.
Totally. I think that this road trip is going to say a lot about what they ultimately decide to do. And if I had to guess, provided they don't find a trade for UPL, which at this point seems unlikely, especially this long.
Which is crazy considering there's plenty of teams out there that need a goalie right now.
I know, but like you know the NHL, like it's probably not going to happen. I would guess that. I mean, it depends on how they do. Obviously, it seems like Lindy's really riding the hot hand at the moment, based upon whoever started last and had a good game. So it's hard to predict. But I mean, especially if they're not able to trade UPL and they at least want to have him continue to play so teams can see him, I would have to imagine that Colton Ellis is going to eventually get the shorter end of the stick here, which makes sense given his relative lack of experience in the NHL thus far in his career. He's got six games played, right? And he's shown really well in most of them. That Flames game aside, in the third period of the.
I think Colton Ellis is only the goalie right now with a winning record.
For sure, yeah. No, but he also has a 313. He also has a 313 goals against, right? Like that's inflated by that Flames game, of course. But I'm just saying, like, what I could guess what is going to happen here. I think they do have an interest in continuing to play UPL because they probably are at least having conversations, right? Like they have to be at this point. So
there has to be teams calling. I mean, there has to be trade conversations around him right now.
Yeah, and I think
I think Edmonton.
I think he even starts a game like he does tonight because they are probably, even the team like the Jets with Hellebuck out for however long he's going to be, I think they could benefit from a guy like UPL.
Well, yeah, I actually thought about that too tonight. Not to run people but he's on such a long contract,
and that's what makes the trade hard.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's why Edmonton makes sense. St. Louis makes sense because both of their goalies are friggin' cheeks this season. So there are plenty. Even Vancouver, because Thatcher Demko's in the final year of his deal. You have Lincoln in there. Like it seems like they're not afraid to have a 1A 1B situation in Vancouver. Like so maybe Vancouver is a suitor, but I think those top three for sure. I mean, would you trade in division at this point with a team like Toronto? Probably not.
I mean, especially if it's a team that you're ultimately gonna this race in the Eastern Conference is gonna come down to April between probably 4 or 5 teams. And I don't envision any of these teams like pulling away from each other the way these rosters are constructed and these weird injuries all around the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of guys going, like one guy today I saw got like burns on his legs from an at-home like incident or something. Like what is going on? It's like
what did you say?
There was like a player, I forget who it was. He is out for an indefinite amount of time because he had an incident at home where he got like 3rd-degree burns on his legs or something.
From where?
I forget what it is. I'll try to find who the player is.
You saw the Jack Hughes thing with the
and like Zach Benson and Yuri Kulik and like it's like Final Destination in the NHL this year. It's insane. But yeah, I really do believe that this race is going to be within 6 to 8 points between these teams that are. Look at the 2 teams that are at the bottom of the Eastern Conference right now and tell me, well, maybe it doesn't apply to one of them, but tell me that you don't think they're going to be there at the end of the year. The Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like maybe the Maple Leafs won't be, but the Florida Panthers are definitely going to figure it out pretty soon.
Yeah. I also didn't realize that Demko did sign an extension in the off. I completely forgot about that. That was kind of under the radar. Because I remember we were talking about on the show about Demko maybe before they went and got Alex Lyon being a solution here in Buffalo before he signed that deal, but I completely forgot. So I mean, I guess you could take Vancouver off that list, but still there are teams out there.
Back to this upcoming road trip. Obviously, Philadelphia on Wednesday. They seem their goalie situation.
They need a goalie, yeah.
Well, they've got Urson and whatnot, but it's not great.
No.
But then you have Winnipeg, Calgary, in my opinion, doesn't need one. They just need a team. Edmonton, Vancouver, and Seattle. That's the road trip up until Sunday, December 14th, which is about almost 2 weeks away. So, gosh, it's hard to say. I think they might start UPL on Wednesday, given what happened tonight. They might start Lyon. He's a former Flyer. Who knows? Like, at this point, it's anyone's guess who's going to start any game for the Sabres.
I can't stand it, man.
I will say, though,
as a goalie on that team, it would drive me absolutely
I will
insane.
say, though, there is only one back-to-back on that trip, and that is a week from tonight and tomorrow. Calgary and then Edmonton. So, hard to say. But
it's kind of crazy how Devin Cooley's playing this season, too.
Yeah, I do believe he's been good. I saw a cool video today. He's using this like VR headset before the games.
Yeah, the same one that Levi uses.
Yeah, in the hallway, like to
replicate
shooting situations. It's
I think
really
like
cool.
Levi's like a ambassador for, I forget what it's called. But I'm pretty sure he's like one of the, maybe Cooley is now too, but I'm pretty sure Levi is like one of the ambassadors for that.
So my goal, or like what I envision this team needing to do for this 6-game road trip, is right now they're 500. A lot of people don't think of it as 500, but the NHL views it as a 500 win percentage. 11-11-4. I think they need to come out of this road trip 500 or better.
You have to.
For them to stay in the race comfortably going into the new year. If they somehow drop 5 of 6, even the ones in overtime, or they don't win at least 3 of these, that's going to potentially, like, some of these teams are going to start to pull away, especially as they get healthier, like the Panthers. So teams like Calgary, you've got to beat. You got to beat. I mean, I can't say you have to beat Winnipeg, but they're clearly struggling right now. The Flyers haven't been particularly good, but they have some talent. We saw Edmonton. They're not particularly in a good place. And then you have Vancouver and Seattle, who in my opinion aren't great teams. So these are winnable games. They're obviously not going to win all 6. This team hasn't given us any reason to believe they could go on an 8-game win streak, but they are getting healthier and the power play looks a little bit better and the goaltending is generally a little bit better. So I think they at least need 3 of 6 to stay in this conversation.
I agree. JJ Paterka must have heard all the smack talk about how Doan has more points than him in the same amount of games played because he just scored apparently a pretty gnarly goal. I mean,
I think go ahead.
No, but even you, I saw you tweet it. We won the trade. I still think.
I mean,
we won that trade.
Yeah,
as of right now,
I do believe that, but I also think
both teams got what they wanted.
Yeah, both teams benefited. You're gonna want to see this shot by JJ Paterka.
Yeah, apparently it's nasty.
He went, short side. The goalie went reverse VH on a long distance shot, and he went over his right shoulder.
Not tonight. I want to talk about this tonight. I cannot stand the.
Actually, no, he didn't. He just like sniped him. He went full butterfly. And
he was an RVH.
No, he's a left-handed goalie. So he went full butterfly, and JJ just went top.
But still, it drives me nuts watching goaltenders just improper, like from far out there in their RVH when you just shouldn't be.
I think it really comes down to coaching and the way the position is coached these days, because that happens a lot, and it's really emphasized to seal the ice or seal your post in those types of situations, especially when the puck is behind the net. But when the puck's not behind the net, I've at least adopted a style recently where it's called like the post overlap, where you have, let's say it's the right post, you have your right leg.
So on your blocker side?
Yeah, like on your blocker side, you have your right leg overlapping the post. So even like below the goal line to challenge that type of bad angle shot rather than getting down and sealing the post and opening it up above your right shoulder. Especially if a guy is like coming down the right side and goes to like go behind the net, you challenge a little bit and then you're able to overlap the post a little bit to take away that short angle type shot. At least it's been working for me. I saw a video on YouTube. It was called The Overlap and why more goalies should use it.
So like, is it
just one technique?
Does that also depend on like, so you're saying they're coming down on your blocker side?
Yeah. If you're a right-handed goalie, I guess it doesn't matter either way.
Well, if you're a left-handed catch goalie.
Yeah. They're coming down on your blocker side.
Well,
you have your right leg not like next to, like your blade is not on the post, but it's out and then over the post, and you're able to challenge and take away that short angle shot rather than getting.
Is that more dependent on that player being a left-handed shot though?
I think it could be either. Yeah, if it's a left-handed shot, you're more likely.
I think right-handed shot, you're probably getting sniped there every time.
Yeah, you could leave your glove hands. You could leave your glove hand open for sure. I think it depends on the angle, obviously, but I guess it's just a technique I've been using rather than leaving that area above your right shoulder.
We got to find all the shortcuts as shorter goalies. So.
Yeah, 100%. Like challenging basically every angle. Obviously, in the NHL, guys would be so skilled that they'd go around the net and the other side of the net would be wide open. It's obviously different in beer league than it is in the NHL. I just think that like there are techniques you can use rather than going down and leaving that area wide open in front on your right shoulder. Either way. But yeah, I back to Peterka. He's been great. I don't think like there's a lot of people that get really salty about former Sabres players when they leave, like constantly tracking every single one of their games. Like there's this one guy who is like on an offensive against Dylan Cousins, and there's people that like,
I'll never understand the Dylan Cousins, because Dylan Cousins cried when he was treated, like he didn't want to go.
I don't care. Like I don't care what the attitude is. Like I think people can hate Jack Eichel personally. They can hate JJ Peterka for the rumors of how he went out and how he demanded out and whatnot. But like you can also look at their performances objectively. The guy's been great. He's been really good. He's been as advertised.
Utah, yeah.
He's been as advertised, and he's doing what they wanted, which is score goals and create chances off the rush. That is what he does. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't get to the tough areas around the net like Josh Doan does. But I would say that the Sabres got what they wanted.
Yeah.
And the Mammoth got what they wanted. So it can be
like,
trades can work out for both sides.
Like I'd say for every 10 trades out of Buffalo, like no hard feelings against Reinhart. There were no hard feelings against at least I still don't understand the Dylan Cousins stuff. It's really coming from one account. It's really as strong as it was. And I remember I called it out and it kind of stopped after, because I got sick and tired of seeing it on my timeline. It was driving me insane. But I mean, I can understand the Peterka hate just because it's like the way it all went down. And just how almost like a sense of entitlement, like, I not wanting to be here, even the team that kind of gave him a chance to be here, traded up in the second round to get him, gave him every opportunity he could ever dreamed of in a top line role in his first season, so he could get that big contract, and then just deciding like, hey, I don't want to play here anymore because the team stinks. I understand that. I understand the Eichel hate, but like, I'd say for the most part, man, I agree with you. You could objectively look at the talent and just say like, hey, man, like if you can separate yourself from the attitude away from the rink, like, yeah, man, like such good players.
Jack Eichel's a top 5 player in the league. They effectively tanked an entire season to guarantee the chance to get him. He was the captain of this team. For a while, he had a really good attitude. Obviously, didn't end the way that anybody wanted it to. But yeah, I don't know. People online like to talk shit for no reason, and it is what it is.
It drives me nuts. Here's it from Steve Noble. Zach Benson, 11 assists in 13 games. How many assists will he have before he actually scores? has there been ever 50 points with less than 5 goals in a season?
God, it looked like they were trying to get him an opportunity in the third period. There was one chance where I think it was Doan tried to get it to him on the back door. He was wide open, and I really do believe that even Zach Benson, not known for his goal scoring, would have scored on this wide open net, but it got deflected, unfortunately. But he'll score. He's going to score soon. I bet he scores on this road trip. I'll say that.
Yeah. You hope so, man. I'd like to see him finally, because I feel like, because Lindy talked about that a lot in the off season. Like he wanted to see Benson, the big improvements the improvements he needed to see is just his finishing ability. And
but I mean, I will say though, on a line that he's on with Josh Norris and Tage Thompson, if he has 11, if he continues on an 11 assists in 13 games pace, it's pretty good. I'm seeing, okay, yeah, he's got 11 assists in 13 games. I don't need him to score goals. He can be a pest. He can create turnovers and feed those guys. Get 5 goals this year. I don't care. If he has five goals and 50 assists in 60 games, that's a great year from Zach Benson.
No doubt. I do want to give a shout out to here, Saber Wagon 21 New Year. A friend of mine sent me to this post game, and I absolutely love it. Great job, boys. It's like sitting around with some buddies talking hockey, no pretentiousness, no filter. You guys are one of us. Appreciate that, bud. Always love to get the shout out to new people we see in the chat, and I definitely appreciate the compliment. So, much love there. Now going back to this game, we talked about Josh Norris, talked about Josh Doan a little bit. Tage Thompson, he had a point tonight. Defensively, I mean, somebody in the chat said it, and I noticed that too. I really also need to see. I mean, we got to go out of Byram tonight, but we think we really just need to see Rasmus Dahlin start getting going. Because if you really want to start taking off, that guy needs to start getting going offensively. Because once he does, I really think that.
Oh yeah, this team will be at a completely different level. Kind of how I mentioned earlier, though. Like, I think tonight is a pretty good sign. 21 chances for the team while he was on the ice at 5-on-5, 13 chances against. Like, that's, I think, typical of a Rasmus Dahlin style game, right? Like, completely dominating the flow of the play at both ends of the ice with his physicality and mobility in the defensive end, and obviously his world-class skill in the offensive end. Of course, not the start to the season anybody envisioned for him. Extenuating circumstances to the nth degree with his fiance, and I think we even talked about it the night before it happened. He needed to go back. He needed to go home. She might have had another procedure, or just check in to make sure she was all right. But now that he's back, I do see parts of his game that are similar to what we saw with how dominant he was last season. And as he continues to be more comfortable and everything else is better at home, I do believe he's going to get to that top 5 defenseman in the league level that we all know he can be. And that is the best news possible for the direction of this team, because there's not too many world-class talents even around the NHL, right? Like, if you have a top 5 player in his position almost objectively on your team, that should give you a leg up any night, no matter who you're playing. And when he's on the ice, he controls play at both ends. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic that before the end of the month, we're going to see the best version of 26.
I hope so. What about Owen Power, man? I don't think he's had a point in his last 11 or 12 games.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's a guy who honestly got paid for his ability to produce offensively. We all know how much of a whipping boy he's become in Buffalo, especially this year with the lack of, with the exception of a very small handful of games this season. I remember I absolutely lost my fucking mind in that Pittsburgh game, just watching him play the Olay with his stick in front of the net. Like, literally, I don't think you weren't on that post game, but like literally watching whoever it was come into frame, watch him the whole way, and then just did one of these and watched him go by. It was like watching a bullfighter. And he doesn't do himself any favors when he isn't producing offensively either. And I think that's hurt. I mean, that is why us as fans get on him so much. And Chris Pronger, I tagged him in a post and I said, it was a hit by and I kind of set it up for this too. When we tweeted out the clip of Matthias Samuelsson's hit in front, just clearing a guy out of front of the net, clearing the front of his net so his goalie could see the play. And I said, is that Matthias Samuelsson or Chris Pronger? And I tagged him, and he goes, no, that's Pronger-esque. And I followed it up with, so what do you think of Owen Power? Because I think fans would give him a lot less flack if he added a little bit of this type of bite to his game. And Chris Pronger responded, 280 characters isn't enough to talk about Owen Power. But he said it in a negative context. So I don't know, man. Like I said, the things that Owen Power doesn't do defensively, it's not like things that Pronger used to do, but just the little things that he just consistently doesn't do, defensively unaware. But I mean, I know I'm kind of long-winded here, but offensively, 7 points on the season. Not good.
Yeah, no, you definitely want more. I think more power play time would help that a lot, in the Sabres' second unit being at all relevant whatsoever. Even Alex Tuck getting back on that unit, I think, will help that group a little bit more. So I think that'll help his output a little bit more. But yeah, I think I've been pretty transparent about this conversation. I'm not as hard on him as some people are, because I know and realize the time that it takes for a defenseman of his frame and his play style to get to the point defensively that everybody will be happy with. I'll say that, yes, obviously he can be better in front of his net. And of course he could be a little bit more physical, but I do think that he's taken strides. Obviously there are the plays like in the Pittsburgh game the other night that you can point back to and be like, it's just flat out not good enough. And you can say the same thing for a lot of players, but I'll say that he's better now, I do believe, than he was in his rookie year, at least defensively. And he's getting to a point where there is a tiny bit more physicality. We've seen at points this year getting into scrums, and we've also seen at points this year where he's just stood there. He's not a perfect player.
Like tonight when he stood
there.
He
so
kind of stood there. He was in the area, but he certainly wasn't doing anything.
Right. But we've also given him credit when he has gotten into a scrum and he has pushed guys away. So yes, he's
6'6" though, Hurls. He shouldn't have to be forced to get himself involved with these things.
No, obviously not. What I'm saying is that he's inherently going to be polarizing because of his draft status and his contract. I've always mentioned the age. He just I'm going to say this with a caveat. He turned 23 last week, and I think this is the age where Dahlin's game got taken to a next level. I do believe that. I was talking with
Here's the thing, though. People love to make that comparison. We never complained about these certain things. These particular with Dahlin, though.
I mean,
we did.
I would say there was
throwing hit checks left and right. He was playing hard nose in front of his own net. We never complained about these particular things.
There wasn't the same complaints, but he was not necessarily the best in his own end defensively in the first 3 years of his career. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, no, you're not wrong. But the things that we complained about, like Dahlin, we'll go back to that Pittsburgh play. Is Dahlin letting him walk by him like that in his fourth year? No, he's putting a stick on him. He's trying to body him up. Like the things we complain about Dahlin, where we're like going out of his way to make a hit instead of maybe playing the puck. Things like that are the things we complained about with Dahlin. Being in the wrong spot at a certain time. The things we complain about Owen Power are things you fucking learn in house league. They look like it's not hard to just take your stick and lift a guy's stick up in front of the net. How many times have I screamed into this microphone because he stands next to a guy in front of the net and doesn't touch him and then just proceeds to watch him score on his goaltender? It's not something that should still be happening in year 4 in the NHL. It's not because watching guys that are 5'10" or 5'11" or 6 guys who are half a foot fucking smaller than you completely own you in front of the net. Those aren't things that you learn or can be taught, Hurls. Like you're
Well,
a
I
goaltender,
mean,
you see it
well,
happen.
no, but
And you
like
taught these things.
that's where I'll disagree with. That's where I'll disagree with you.
What do you mean?
No,
Like,
no,
you
no,
just
no,
do
no,
it.
no, no. I'm with you. Like that play was egregiously bad. Like I'm not disagreeing with you there, but do you not think? I mean, who knows with Marty Wilford? Why he's still the defensive coach of this team. But do you not think that is a coaching point when they go back and watch the film after the game? Or do you not think that he looks at that play and at least acknowledge? I know it's happened a good amount throughout his career. Hasn't happened as much this year, and I think everybody can say that. I think he himself, as both a hockey player and a human being, can look at a play like that and be like, this is how I can get better. This is where I can correct.
Then why isn't he doing it?
But no, but this is what I'm saying. Like you're pointing out that play and you're using it as a lightning rod, but that has not happened consistently this year. It hasn't.
I mean, it's happened more than a handful of times, Earls.
Oh, of course it has.
It has.
But what I'm telling you is that like
you're getting paid $8.5 million a year. It shouldn't.
I'm with you, but I'm saying that his defensive awareness and responsibility and his toughness in front of his own net is better this year than it was in the first 3 years of his career. It is. So, I mean, I will think I think that there's the lightning rod and he's polarizing and his mistakes are heightened, but I do believe he's developing as a player. And it is what it is at this point. People are going to have the opinion, and it's going to take a lot for him to change the tide. And that goes for UPL as well. There's going to be polarizing players on this team because of their draft status and because of their contracts. But it doesn't mean these guys are bad players that need to be shipped out of town immediately. They are coachable things, and they can develop and get better.
I think I completely disagree with you on certain things being coachable because, you know what I mean? I do not like Marty Wilford as a coach. I think the fact that these things still happen with him in year 4 are inexcusable. And that could be pointed right to Marty Wilford, but I will go back to it again as a guy who has played hockey his entire life. These are things that you just do. You just do. Like, I understand that when you played at Michigan, you guys possessed the puck for 75% of the game. You were on a powerhouse, and it was probably criminal that you didn't win a national championship. But to get to this level and consistently in year 4 still have the same conversations in regards to the same problems. And I just saw a comment here. The problems we saw with Dahlin, again, and I was sitting here trying to think of like thinking back that long ago. But like, yeah, turning pucks over, bad play in the neutral zone. But the physical side of the game, it's just not hard to pick up a stick and lean into a guy when you're a half a foot taller. Those aren't things you learn. You just do at this level. You've gotten to this level on your skill, but yeah, based most purely on your skill. But at 6'6", you just these are things you just do. You just do it. You just do it
for sure.
You can't be taught. You can't be taught at 24 years old or 23 years old, a year 4 in the league, when you're standing next to somebody in front of your goaltender to lift a stick and lean into them. You just do it. And if you're not going to do it in year 4, the criticism is very justified. And every fan who like myself, who continues to criticize him, like, how much longer are we as fans going to sit here and watch this guy do this at $8.5 million a year? He's got 7 fucking points. 7 points. He has nothing offensively right now.
I mean, I don't, but that's again, like, point output isn't necessarily representative of nothing offensively. Like he is creating chances. He's just not getting points. Like the underlying offensive numbers show that, yes, like he's not necessarily getting the point total that he's had in the past, but he is still relatively controlling play offensively. So you got to look at the whole picture. Obviously, there are plays that can be better. The Pittsburgh play is one of them, and there's been a few others throughout the season. But we can, aside from Samuelsson, and I know he has a heightened responsibility because of the number 1 overall and the contract, but people don't say the same things about Bowen Byram, and he's been worse. So I
Bowen
just think
Barr makes less than half the contract.
I
You
know
know what
I
I mean?
get no, and
Like,
I said that right before this.
I
So
know, but like,
I understand that is why people are so frustrated, but I think
but at
that
least Bowen Barr also contributes offensively
I also like
and less ice
think it's
time.
kind of pointless because he's not going to get traded. So, yes, you can get frustrated, but he is 23 years old and he's still developing. He is, right? Do you not agree that like that is like a plausible scenario that he could still be developing as a player?
I don't know, man. I just don't think that the things that we complain about are things that you just learn to do in year 4 at the
I
end of
just
the NH. You just,
I
it's just
personally believe that if he
like,
watches the
like,
film of that exact play in Pittsburgh, and undoubtedly he did, do you not believe him as an athlete with the skills of a number 1 overall pick, and as you say, 6'6", however many pounds, do you not believe he
these
has
aren't skill plays. These are IQ
no,
plays, though.
no, but
These
like
are just
no, but
knowing that you have to do it and being aware and understand that, yeah, it's my job to pick up this guy, lift his stick, and move him out of the way. Or if this
but
is
do you
my
not believe
guy to
after like
jam him up.
watching
He
that play
doesn't
on
do it.
film? Do you not believe
Huh?
after watching that play on film, he could look at that and he just
But how
doesn't
many
have the
times has
ability?
he seen himself do that on film and still do it?
I mean, that is a different discussion. I'm just saying that like I think and like you didn't disagree. He's better in front of his net this year and even last year than he was the first 2 years of his career. Like it was bad to begin with. It was like legitimately horrible.
It's still bad.
I mean it's
still bad.
It's not as bad as people say it is. Legitimately. So, yeah, and I get the lightning rod nature of it. I really do. But I think there needs to be a tiny bit of grace when it comes to certain things related to him. I am trying to approach it from a nuanced level in the sense that, yeah, it's not good enough, but I also am not saying ship this guy out of town. Like there's a way to have these conversations and a way to approach this subject without like making this guy a pariah. Like he's not the worst hockey player in the world, and that's what people act like he is. So I don't know. And Matthew Schaefer, that's a good example. He's been fucking incredible offensively this year, but also like he's not a perfect player either. Like he has his defensive shortcomings. He also has his offensive shortcomings. Like there's going to be eyeballs on you with this level of pedigree. But I do believe that Owen Power is probably the 3rd best defenseman on our team still. So defenseman, yeah. Samuelson's been unbelievable this year. He's been very good. Like without a doubt. Samuelson's been one of the best defensemen in the league this year.
No, I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
And I
agree
think
100%.
So currently I would go Dahlin and Samuelson, and then I would put Power as number 3. I would, because I don't think Timmins has been fine, but I don't think he's been.
I personally, if last minute of the game and I'm defending a 1-goal lead, I'm not having Owen Power out there. I'm having Connor Timmins out there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Like you see, you didn't disagree with me.
But I'll say that like
disagree with me.
That's not going to happen anyway, though, because you're going to have Samuelson and Dahlin.
I'm just stating. But if you're going to tell me that he's been their 3rd best defenseman in that situation,
things considered, I'm saying all things considered this season, overall, he's been the 3rd best defenseman on the team.
I disagree, but
we can move on. We can move on. Well, but like, what is? But hear me out here.
I say this as a guy who wants him to get better, because I agree with you. He's not going to get traded because there's this love of, like, it was talked about on another podcast today, as early as today, that internally there is this, when it comes to Owen Power, like there is almost this tendency to talk negatively about him in front of guys like Kevin Adams and Jerry Fortin, because of how much they like him and how much he was their guy, the 1st overall pick. And now you also start to see things kind of come out through the cracks that that are being leaked from other teams, that they didn't even have Owen Power as the number 2 prospect on their draft boards that year. Because
just back to like just the team real quick. Like obviously Timmins has been fine defensively. He's had a few games that have been really, really bad. But I'm not talking points here, because points and plus minus aren't necessarily always indicative of how the
I'm not
players
talking
actually.
points either.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about
No, but like,
who I
what is
want out
Connor?
there in a crunch situation. It's not Owen Power.
I'm talking all around players this season in all areas of the ice. What has Connor Timmins contributed offensively? Nothing.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? You broke up for a
I'm
second.
saying in all areas of the ice, Timmins has been fine defensively. He's been okay. I wouldn't necessarily even say that he's been necessarily
Actually,
good.
actually, I put Kesslering, even though he's not playing, I'm putting him over Power right now too. So
But like
if Kesslering's in this lineup, Owen Power's the fourth best defenseman on this team.
but he hasn't been, so we can't even have that conversation.
Even saying that,
but even in the game, even in the games Kesselring played, he didn't perform well. So I don't know. It's hard.
The 2 to 3 games.
No, but like he didn't. Like he did not perform well in those games. So I'm looking at.
I don't remember complaining about Kesslering after
I saw in the games that he played. I not only like he didn't necessarily make that much of an impact because he was coming off injury and didn't get that much ice time, but it's been a tough go for him. So like at his ceiling, he probably could be the third best defenseman, but like we can't even have that conversation at this point. It's hypothetical. I'm just saying that all around, offensively, defensively, neutral zone, special teams, everything. This season, I believe Power's been the third best defenseman on the team. And you can say in a crunch situation defensively, you're going to have Timmins in there, and that's fine. I just people can complain as much as they want, but I do believe that he's had an average season so far, and he can be better, and he needs to be better given his pedigree and contract. And I think we can all agree on that. So it kind of is what it is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if I'm going to be angry, I'm probably going to be angry at Kevin Adams for signing an unproven player for that long term of a deal at that early in his career.
I mean,
look what even Dahlin played on a bridge deal.
For sure. I mean, look what they did with Samuelson, though. People were pissed about that contract, and it turns out like
he was only making like what, $3.5 to $4 million a year.
I think it's 4.5 now, but
4.5.
Still though, like people saw that contract. I think it was only after like 35 games, and I remember one Leafs account seeing that contract and like making it as one of like the worst contracts handed out in NHL history.
Well, it was for a while just because of the injuries and whatnot and the performance.
But you can't. I know. I'm just saying, like, you can't like say a contract is bad until the player plays the contract, right? Like, you have to see how they develop and how they get through the course of the deal. And yes, at this current moment, Power is not playing to his AAV, but he's also in the second year of the deal, and he just turned 23 years old. So I think there's room there. And
I mean, I like I said, I want him to turn it around. Like, I just, as somebody who, again, I've played at a high level at all. I played junior college. That's where I maxed out and hung up my skates and decided to make a career at a beer league. But like, the things that he falls short on are things that aren't necessarily again, I'll keep saying this till I'll beat this dead horse that you're taught. You just do. You either want to do it or you don't want to do it. And he just doesn't do it consistently, at least. So to move on from that subject, because we're getting on close to an hour here. Before we get to our final thoughts, just want to give another shout out to our sponsors at Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need a beer, get over to Fatty Beer. Let them know Two Glories One Mike sent you. And as always, Extreme Discount Mattress.
We know with Skechers, your day starts with the comfort and support you need for your feet. And now that same innovation has made its way to the bedroom. Introducing the Skechers Sleep System. With cooling SketchKnit fabric, pressure-relieving Skechers Max cushioning, and our Skechers Posture Fit support system. Your day ends just like it began, with Skechers comfort that never stops. Skechers mattresses, exclusively at Extreme Discount Mattress, the lowest prices in the nation.
Thank you again to our sponsors at Fatty Beer and Extreme Discount Mattress. Hurls, let's get out of here with our final thoughts. We've talked a lot here about obviously very long-winded just now, going back and forth about Owen Power, obviously the return of Josh Norris, the play of Josh Doan compared to Paterka, Any other final thoughts that we haven't already? Any final thoughts that we have discussed or we already haven't discussed? You're muted, bud. I can't hear you.
There we are. Going back to kind of what we discussed earlier about this road trip, like this season has been played in sectioned streaks. Obviously, you start off slow, they win 4 of 5, and then they lose 8 of 9. And then you win 4 or 5, and then you lose 2 in a row, and now they've won 2 in a row again. This team has not won 3 in a row the entire season. You go on the road against Philadelphia, who I'm just going to check the standings really quick just to confirm because I haven't really followed them at all this season. They are currently in that second wild card spot. If you want to prove you're a serious team, they at least need to play well on Wednesday to prove to this fan base and to prove to not only to themselves and the organization, but everyone around the league that they are a serious hockey team by not laying an egg on Wednesday. Because after these 2 game win streaks, they've always laid an egg. And very often on the road, they've laid an egg, 2-6-2 this season. So I would love to see at least a point on Wednesday. If they're able to get a point, I would consider that to be not necessarily an outright success, but that's at least something to work with to start this road trip. And then you go into the Western Canada section and you got to try to get 2 or 3 of those 5 games. Because if you're not 500 coming out of the road trip, which is on Sunday, December 14th, coming back home against Philadelphia on the 18th, they're 11-11-4. They're 500 right now. You got to be 500 on Sunday, December 14th after that game in Seattle, where they have struggled in the short history in Seattle. But I think obviously it's a 6-game road trip. You can look at it in that small stretch, but you got to look at Wednesday as the most important game of the season thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And for more reasons than one, whether that's individually for a guy like Owen Power or UPL, if he's back in that, but also with this new iteration with Josh Norris back in the lineup and everybody else coming back, Zach Benson, Jason Zucker, maybe even Kesselring pretty soon by the weekend, maybe. This team at its best can take it to a team like Winnipeg, like they did tonight. They just need to prove that at a consistent level. So that starts Wednesday for me.
I couldn't agree with you more. One thing I did do 2 quick final thoughts for me, not to deflect away from what you just said, because again, I agree with all of it. Have you been on with us at all since while you were home? I don't know.
I went to 2 of the games while I was home, and then I watched one at home, and then I've just been all over the place, really busy, but no.
So I want to bring it up because as you guys all know, our boy Hurls here went a little viral while he was home.
I tried to pack my beer saber in my luggage, but it was too big. I also was afraid they might think it was a weapon, so I decided not to bring it on a plane across the country. But I'll be back.
Shipped?
I guess I could get it shipped, but I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. So I'm either going to get it shipped or pack it in my hockey bag on the way home because I'm bringing my equipment back in a few weeks.
It might look worse if you even try and hide it in a hockey bag. I don't know.
Well, but like there's already like blades in a hockey bag, right? Like if they have if there's a plastic sword in there, then what's the problem with that?
That'd be like another reason for you to go viral, though. Guy gets detained because of the beer saber
for a plastic beer sword.
But you obviously went viral here.
The one thing I regret on this, and my good friend Max, who's with me in the video, I wish I drank more of the saber. I do.
In the video?
Yeah, in the video, I wish that I at least took down half of it. I will say I got in that one, which was the first pour, I got the Labatt Blue and Blonde Ale, which is for beer drinkers out there. Shout out Fatty Beer. Shout out everyone else that serves beer around the city. It's kind of like a Blue Moon almost, or like even like an Allagash White. And it's a bit heavier. So as I took that initial chug, it was harder than I envisioned, especially compared to like a normal Labatt or a Blue Light. So not necessarily the best look. I did better than my buddy Max, but he was blocked by my sword. The physics of crossing beer swords and also chugging simultaneously is not something that you can handle easily for anyone else who is trying out there, based upon the video that we've seen. If you're able to
Can you hear me?
and position the swords, you could probably figure it out, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. So that's one of my regrets. But other than that, it was pretty funny. I didn't look at my phone for like 2 hours, and then I was over at Ballyhoo after the game, and my buddy texted me. He was just like, "Have you checked your phone in a little bit? The Sabres responded to you." And I was like, "Oh God, what could this be for?" And then it turned into what it turned into. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Especially on Reddit. A lot of people sent me it on like Reddit message boards. It was like the top post on r/just guys being dudes, which I thought was funny. It was also on R hockey, which I thought was pretty cool. And there were a lot of really funny comments. My favorite one from today, I was on there today just catching up. One guy thought that I was the Connor Hurley that the Sabres drafted in 2012. Someone was just like, "Oh yeah, he's a former Sabre too." I was like, "That is not the same Connor Hurley."
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I was not a Sabres draftee. But yeah, it was a great time being home, and that and the butter dish and the 2 wins were definitely a highlight.
Yeah, I will be honest with you too. When we first talked to each other about you joining the show, I did for a moment think you were that same Connor Hurley too.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Cool. What do we do? So.
I am not a left wing from Minnesota. I am a who played at Minnesota. No, he played at Notre Dame. I am a goalie from Buffalo who played club at Syracuse. A little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, super pumped for you. You got the butter dish. You got your viral moment,
which was not easy to get, by the way. I had a wedding in Toronto in between that, the Beer Saber game. Had to wake up at 9 a.m. after a wedding. We were out until 2 a.m. Woke up at 9 a.m., drove 2 hours from Toronto back home, got dropped off at the arena. We weren't one of the first 10,000 fans. And I had to get a voucher from a friend of a friend of a friend who knew somebody with the Sabres. They were going like hotcakes. Like people lined up allegedly an hour and a half before the game to get this butter dish. And I was only able to get one because I knew someone who knew someone who knew someone with the team. So these in-arena promotions they're doing, I've said before that the Sabres social media team does a really good job. The admins online obviously get a lot of hate during losses, which I think people should stop. Be nice to the admins. But the Sabres production team does a great job. And I really do believe their marketing and promotion teams kind of struck gold with this Beer Saber thing, and also cool things like the butter dish. And we don't speak of the gravy boat last season, but even the gravy boat was kind of cool, I thought.
Gravy boat.
No, but I brought the butter dish back. We used it for a holiday party this past weekend. And yeah, it's something I'm going to have for the rest of my life.
I love it. And the last thing we'll talk about, and then we'll get out of here. Because again, you haven't been on with us, is this right here. Let's see if a pop comes up. Waiting for it. This little gem right here from Paving the Streets. I actually know the person who posted this. I won't say their name. And they did admit they did this for clicks because they knew that it would get engagement and probably over 1 million impressions, in which it did.
Wow, 2.3
million impressions.
2.3 million.
That's just views. I imagine you could probably, in terms of impressions, it probably ended up being a lot.
I will
more
say,
than that.
I love that it got ratioed.
Oh, ratioed is one word.
I'm really so when someone says it got ratioed, that means it has more comments than it does retweets or likes. So he got ratioed, but he knew what he was doing.
100%.
I have thoughts on this. I think it obviously is not surprising that it got the response that it did, because it is from both sides, right? Because it is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. He's an inconsistent player coming off a loss in Pittsburgh where he didn't play particularly well. And him being out that night would suggest to some people a level of care that isn't representative of a guy that truly cared about the result, the team, his body, whatever. And then the other side, I think the correct side here is, hey, he's 25 years old. He lives in the area. I actually know well that he lives in the area because he frequents a deli of a friend of mine, Zio's Deli on Elmwood. He goes in there often and orders. If anybody's in the area, please try it. Some of the best sandwiches in Buffalo. Frequents businesses in that area often because he's over there, which I believe is really cool because I think it's cool that he lives in the city. He's a young guy. He doesn't live out in Clarence. I think it's cool that he lives in the Elmwood Village, personally. That's besides the point.
Yeah.
Obviously a tough game. He isn't asking to be filmed. He probably went
That's
there.
That's the creepier part about it, for sure.
Yeah. He's probably there just trying to mind his own business with his girlfriend or friends or whatever. He's not doing anything wrong. Like this doesn't even say whether he was like drinking a lot, drinking at all, doing anything like out of the ordinary of like what a 25-year-old would do. Like, of course they're professional athletes and they have a spotlight on them, but he's allowed to decompress. And I personally think that's a good thing that he didn't go home and wallow in his sorrows of a bad game, that he's able to go and maybe he did have a drink. He's from Finland. He probably had a couple, but I think that's good. Sometimes when I have a bad game or when I had a bad game, I used to do that myself. So I understand why they posted this. If I saw him at 40 Thieves that night, I wouldn't have. I would have maybe texted you guys or texted my friends that he was there. But I think it is what it is at this point. The people that are really
are we not your friends?
No, I'm saying I would have texted
not your friends. No, you made it separate. You guys and then your friends. Were you not your friends?
Guys, friends, boys, fellas, whatever. Teammates. I just think that the people that are actually upset about this kick rocks.
Yeah. Listen, I personally, because I was randomly tagged in one of these, and again, it's probably because I know the guy who posted it. But like, I just think it's funny as always, 40 Thieves. Like,
I mean, yeah.
40 Thieves.
If we're being honest, though, great bar.
No, it's a great bar, but like the things you kind of hear about 40 Thieves in regards to these stories, not always involving alcohol, but we'll kind of leave it at that. I just think it's always funny. Like back in the day, what bar was it? It was probably like Bada Bing.
No, it was Encore.
Encore, it was Encore. That's right. But Bada Bing was also around back then.
And one of the comments that I saw on this that I resonated with the most was, I think someone quote tweeted and says, "Tell me you never went to Encore growing up in the mid 2000s without telling me you never went to Encore." It was so unbelievably common to see Sabres players at Encore after wins and losses back in the day. Not only Evander Kane when he was here, but all these guys. Yeah. Derek Roy, Matthew Barnaby. I mean, I guess that's a little bit older. But even those teams of the mid 2000s, Thomas Vanek. I saw Danny Briere at Encore one night.
Guys are lucky there were no camera phones and social media.
News flash. Hockey players like to drink, including myself, as you saw with I didn't have 9, but I had about 7.5, 8 beer savers.
Well, you admitted it. You didn't drink all 9.
I almost had 9. Well, how about this? I had, I would say 7.5, 8. And then I went out after the game and I consummated the 9 in a different fashion.
Yeah. I will say the only thing that annoyed me, like, again, I don't care at all that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was out after a game because he's probably not the only guy that went out. You know what I mean? After a lot,
half the team went out.
I'm sure there are plenty more teammates of his that weren't on camera at 40 Thieves that night. I just think like players like, those teams from 2004, 2005, they went all the time. It's like, if you're going to get help, if you're going to get like shitty about this and, be on one side of the debate or the other, well, the only difference between those, if you are going to be angry about that, your only argument, I guess, would be, yeah, but those teams won and consistently won. And we're in playoffs.
And that's fine.
This team isn't. But that's only if you care. about complaining
And
about.
I don't think the record of the team precludes a human being's decisions off the ice, so long as he's not making dumb decisions. This clearly wasn't a dumb decision. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
He had a night off. They didn't play the next day. If it was the night before
of the year too, by the way.
Yeah, and if it was the night before a game or the night before a start, that's an entirely different discussion. But it wasn't. So I just think that people need to get a life.
Agreed. So that's it here. And I'll hang up and listen. We'll be back tomorrow for an episode of Two Goalies, One Mic. Right before we head to this road trip. Just want to say thank you all for who chimed in and we're still hung out with us here. I can see you all in the chat, the new people in the chat. We got a Justin Bailey. I don't know if there's a story behind that, but for the new people that are in the chat, thank you for popping in and look forward to seeing you in the future. If you've enjoyed this content, please follow along on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell icon so you know when we go live. If you would be so inclined, hit us with a like, helps a lot. You can find us on Twitter at DuaneS39, at Two Goalies, One Mic. My co-host Connor at CHurls13. We're on Facebook, Instagram at Two Goalies, One Mic as well. We'll talk to you guys later. And as always, go Sabres.